Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome to a viewer submitted replay, and this is the Charioteer, the new British Tier 8 tank destroyer. Now the reason I picked this one out is because I've put up a couple of my own replays of the Archer, the Tier 5, in the last couple of weeks, and I've been making slow progress through that. I'm only really getting a daily on it every couple of days. The reception to the line has been distinctly mixed. There are some real stinkers in there. The Tier 7 and the Tier 10 seem especially lacklustre. But there are also some bright spots, and this is one of them. Now, the Archer itself is... it's hard to get excited about it. I can have good games in it, but it requires the stars to align. The Achilles seems better. I've not heard anyone rave about it, but it seems okay. The Charioteer... the Challenger... They all have names beginning with C. Well, two of them do. It's confusing. Two is all, right? The Challenger, I've yet to hear anyone have a good word to say about the Challenger. I think partly it's because it doesn't have a particularly great set of stats, but also it's been the same gun since the Archer. They all use that 17-pounder gun. There's not a single one of this new British tank destroyer line that has the 20-pounder gun as the top gun. This thing gets it as a stock gun, but none of them get it as a top gun, which is really weird. And that is... I mean, if it was a better vehicle otherwise, I think the Challenger's firepower wouldn't matter so much, but the fact that it's got a rubbish set of characteristics, plus a huge turret, plus it doesn't have an amazing gun for its tier, especially compared to its contemporaries. Yeah, I've yet to hear anybody have a kind word to say about the Challenger. I keep doing that. This, however, it is a big upgrade. You get the L7A1 as your top gun, which is the same 105mm gun that you get on the medium line with the Centurion 7.1 and the FV4202. So it's a really nice gun to have on a Tier 8. Now, the machine itself, it's basically a Cromwell hull, and the turret is kind of fat, but it's not quite as big as some of the other turrets that are on this line. So you're still a big target, but you're not as big a target as the Conway and the 4005. And I think even the Challenger, they've done it just to annoy me, I swear. Even that has a fairly chunky turret, so... yeah, so this is, I should probably say who this sent this in. This is BoquiShaniqua. I probably said that wrong, but anyway. Possibly Shaniqua, I'm not sure. Obviously, we can see they have the 105mm gun, and they're putting it to fairly decent use so far. This is actually a 9.5 replay, so there's a little bit of... you'll have noticed one or two oddities with it. They've mostly fixed that with 9.6, but there's still one or two weirdnesses. And he's just using this hill spot to sit up here, snipe things. Although he misses one or two shots. He did say he had some lag spikes at various times. And you can look at the ping counter and see that they were playing with over 100 ping for parts of the battle. Well over 100 ping for the bit that's just gone. But anyway... doesn't matter in terms of finishing off the stationary T-32, of course. He got lucky with taking the tracks on that guy, but then was able to aim and get him and finish him off very nicely there. So the whole western flank of the map does seem to be doing rather badly, but this flank has been able to push around. So there's been about an equal trade in numbers so far. I know I was talking a lot about the vehicle and the line itself rather than... oh, hello, artillery. If this hits... oh, yes. Yeah, he was a bit happy with that shot. But I don't know, sometimes I end up talking more about the tanks than the game. That was a bit gung-ho, but whatever, Tier 6 medium tank. But bear in mind, you're basically ramming a Tier 6 medium tank with another Tier 6 medium tank. It's just this has more hit points. But the hull, I mean, it's basically a Cromwell hull, so... there aren't going to be many things that you want to ram with this, but a Type 58, yeah, I guess you can get away with it. So he's racked up 4 kills. You can see that with those 4 kills, I mean, it's over 3,000 damage. This gun is a really nice gun to have. You don't actually get this gun on the other tank destroyer line. You get the 20-pounder at Tier 8 with 80-15, and then you get the 120mm at Tier 9 on the Torty. And actually, you get the 120mm on the Tier 9 on this line as well. But firepower-wise, it's a bit of an odd line though. You get 3 17-pounders, and then you get the 105mm, the L7A1, and then you get the 120 mil. It's a bit of an odd progression. So that was unlucky, that second bounce on the hull of the T-34. You can see here, one of the things that this line does struggle with is gun depression. So he's having to jockey for position a lot. Although he's maybe over-manoeuvring a bit. He doesn't want to sit stationary and make himself an inviting target particularly, but he does spend a bit too long jiggling around sometimes. Some of the shots, he's a bit hesitant sometimes. Other times I think it's down to the lag, but generally speaking, he's putting himself in the right place at the right time. So you might think, why are we capping this, 3 versus 5? Well, on this map, the caps are so close together, and that was a lucky miss. I mean, I know the Tiger II was firing on the move, but still. On this cap, on this map, the caps are so close together that you can effectively bait tanks to come and drive towards your gun, especially if they're coming over that bridge where there's no cover. You can bait them by sitting in the cap circle, and it's a really short distance between the two caps. And I think that's what he was trying to do. This is pure speculation. He might have actually been trying to cap, but whatever. It had the functional result of it baited back that Tiger II. Now that was one of those moments where he maybe could have played a bit better rather than just sitting in front of the Tiger II and hoping his reload was, hello KB4, going to be better. But it worked out, and he would have had the hit points to take another hit. However, he's being a little bit more cautious with this KV4. We now outnumber him. The Pershing has been sniping from the hill, which is fine. The Tiger II's going in. He can survive a hit if needs be. Boqui can also, or Boqui, I don't know if it's meant to be Boqui, maybe, can also survive a hit, but he's just waiting for the Tiger to distract the KV2, at which point he's being shot from 2 directions, and he's basically toast. And the reload on this is such that, no, there we go, that Pershing bounced. The reload is such that you don't have to wait long to output the damage. So there we go, 7 kills, 6k damage. It wasn't the most amazing match, I will say. You know, I'm expecting 1 or 2, oh my god, why did you put this up comments, because even if I put up a really good match, there's somebody somewhere that'll go, oh my god, why didn't you use my replay? Well, for one thing, usually I'm looking for specific tanks, and this was actually the only Charioteer replay I had, but it turned out to be, I think you'll agree, a fairly decent game, and it shows off some of what the Charioteer can do. I mean, it's kind of a nerfed medium tank. Some tank destroyers are like that, and I'm thinking particularly of the T25-2 here, where they probably work better if you use them as a medium tank. But you compare the gun on this thing, I mean, I know it's 1 tier up, but even so, you compare the gun on this thing to the T25/2, and it's light years ahead. So, yeah, this and the tier 9. I think this possibly works better for its tier than the tier 9, because the tier 9 gets a huge turret. But it seems like it's going to be a fairly fun machine to play, given the right circumstances. All of the new machines are a bit on the circumstantial side, but this one seems less sensitive to it than others. But I mean, out of that result, 6k damage, 7 kills, that was enough for an ace tanker. He had a high caliber, tanker, sniper, top gun, and easily the top of the team. He was well ahead of his teammates there in terms of actually doing the damage. So if you can stay alive, if you can use that still reasonable Cromwell mobility, it's not quite as fast as a Cromwell because it's got a heavier gun on a heavier turret, but if you can still use that reasonable mobility to get around, to get the flank shots, to go to unexpected places and use the amazing gun, then that was worth 1600 base XP. I mean, he did more than what the next 4 people put together, 5, 6. He might even have been as much as the rest of the team put together. I'd have to sit down with a calculator, but because he could keep that gun singing, and he struggled to find the shots a bit at times, there was maybe a bit of hesitancy. Of course, there was the lag issues there at points as well. But yeah, that damage output is just, yeah, it's just, I'm struggling to get my head around why Wargaming have had this stellar leap from a 17-pounder to this gun. Why couldn't the tier 7 have the 20-pounder, or even the 32-pounder that you get on the Churchill gun carrier and as a stock gun on the Tortoise? Why couldn't you have that gun? That would be a step up. It wouldn't be an amazing step up, but it would be a step up from the 17-pounder. The turret's certainly big enough. There's no excuse there. So it was a really hard balance decision with the tier 7. And I don't know, maybe someone will send me a good replay with the Challenger, but I'm thinking it's going to be one of those tanks that people just universally loathe. And whether Wargaming actually decide to buff it at some point, even though it's obvious from the very start it needs a buff, well, we'll see. It might be one of those tanks that they decide they're going to deliberately leave it weak, which they occasionally do, to encourage, you just have to imagine me doing air quotes here, to encourage people to spend money on getting free XP to get past it quicker, basically. So yeah, it might be that they threw it in the line as a deliberate joker. They knew exactly what they were doing when they left it with the 17-pounder gun. It would not surprise me at all. You know, it might be a bit cynical of me to think so, but on the other hand, I don't know that you can necessarily be too cynical when you're thinking of companies as being companies. They're generally motivated by money rather than higher ideals. So anyway, I might, if I get better, well not better, but other replays of the Charioteer sent in where more exciting things happen, because it was an alright game. I don't know if it was the most exciting game. Then you'll probably see it again at some point, and possibly the Conway as well. Maybe even the Tier 10 if somebody manages to have a good game in that thing, because there's a few of those running around now. You still don't see many of them, but there's a few. But in the meantime, you can, as always, hit the like button. You can leave any comments below. You can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.